Story out of Flint. The father of a 2-year-old girl will face charges after investigators say the girl shot herself in the face with her dad's loaded gun on Valentine's Day. We're told she will survive, but right now she is in critical condition.
This is the first criminal complaint filed under Michigan's new safe storage law that went into effect 1 week ago.
Joining us live over Zoom is Genesee County Prosecutor David Leyton. Thanks so much for joining us today, David.
Yeah, hi, good evening.
So if you can start, whatever details you can tell us about this case. You say the gun was not stored properly. Can you explain what your office has found?
So on Valentine's Day, which is tragically when this occurred, the day after the new law took effect, police were called up to Hurley Medical Center, which is our city hospital here, and there was a report of a young child who'd been shot, and she was driven to the hospital by her dad. The police went to the scene, and with a search warrant from our office, were able to uncover evidence suggesting that the child had actually been shot inside the house with a gun that had been left under a pillow. There were actually two guns under the pillow, a revolver and a pistol. It appears she shot herself with a revolver through her right eye. The bullet exited the back of her skull. She remains in critical condition. Sadly, doctors say she's likely to lose the right eye, but as of this evening, she's still alive.
And I understand the father, among other charges, is facing first-degree child abuse charges. That's because of the new law that he was able to face such serious charges?
Well, he's facing first-degree child abuse charges because we believe he knowingly or intentionally caused this by just the fact that he left the gun where he did. But a separate charge is under the new law, which we're saying that he improperly stored the firearm, left it unattended basically on the premises, when he knew or reasonably should have known that something very bad could happen. And in fact, something very bad did happen.
So if you could tell us more about those parameters when you decide a case like this, knowingly or not, is it ever going to be unclear whether a gun was safely stored? Does it need to be in a safe? Does it need to be out of reach, have a lock on it? What are the parameters when it comes to the safe storage law?
Well, the statute reads that you must store the firearm in a situation where a minor, who you are in control of at the time, in your premises, can't get to it. So it doesn't specifically say you got to lock it up. If you put it up in the top of a closet and the minor doesn't know it's there, that's probably a good thing to do. The best thing to do is get a gun safe and put it in a locked gun safe. That's absolutely the best thing to do. But the statute's not real specific on what you have to do. You just can't let a minor get to it. And you reasonably should know when you leave it under a pillow, that's a place where a child could get to it.
With this charge, are you kind of sending a message to people? You know, the charge came the day after it went into effect, that you're taking this seriously and people should really be aware of what they could be facing.
I think so, and I think that was the intention of the Michigan legislature when the law was passed last year, and that is parents of young children, parents of teenage children who live in the home, you need to wake up and safely secure your firearms. As I said, the best thing to do is put them in a locked gun safe, but you need to take steps to keep them out of the reach of your minor children. I mean, a 2-year-old on a bed is going to find a gun that's on the bed, and that's what happened here.
Yeah, you know, these situations are painfully common, and something we tend to hear when we cover stories like this from some people, particularly if they live somewhere where they don't feel safe, is that they need to have their firearm ready at a moment's notice in case they need to use it to protect themselves or their families. So what would you say to someone? Do you have advice for someone when it comes to storing a weapon safely where you can also access it quickly?
Yeah, I mean, I hear this all the time in Flint. Some of the defense lawyers will always say to me, when we charge somebody with illegal possession of a firearm, well, they need to have a gun because they feel unsafe in certain parts of the city. And I understand that, and I'm not looking to take guns out of anybody's possession. But if you have a child in the home, you need to use some common sense. The best thing, as I say, is to have a gun safe. That gun safe can be quickly accessible if it's a combination, or if it's a fingerprint lock. Those are available on the market. You could keep it by your bed if that's what you have to do. But if you do that, the child should not know where the key is, should not know the combination. Or you can put it somewhere where nobody knows where it is except you, and then keep the ammunition separate, nearby, but separate. I think those are certain steps you take to ensure that your children do not get harmed.
Yeah. Well, we certainly hope that there are fewer of these cases going forward. Genesee County Prosecutor David Leyton, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you.